Ernest Shackleton. A name that already sounded like it belonged to some old-timey explorer action figure. Born in 1874, he had one goal burned into his brain: Antarctica. He had already been there on earlier expeditions, one with Robert Falcon Scott, another of his own, but he had failed to reach the South Pole. Then, to rub salt in the frostbite, Roald Amundsen and Scott's ill-fated team beat him to it. Shackleton needed a new plan, so he said, "Fine. If I can't be the first man to the pole, I'll do something even crazier. I'll cross the entire continent of Antarctica, from sea to shining frozen sea, on foot. Because why not?" To do this, Shackleton gathered 27 other men. Scientists, sailors, carpenters, even a stowaway teenager who just wanted adventure. He bought a ship called the Endurance, and that name would prove almost too perfect. In August 1914, while Europe was busy starting World War I, Shackleton's crew sailed south. Their destination, the Weddell Sea, the icy side of Antarctica. Their mission? Land on one side, march across the continent, and get picked up on the far side. Sounds simple on paper. In reality? Yeah, no. By January 1915, the Endurance was within sight of Antarctica. But then the ice closed in. And when I say closed in, I mean picture a fly trapped in amber. The ship was stuck, frozen in place. The men were literally at the mercy of a shifting sea of ice. Days passed, weeks, months. The ice never let go. By winter, the crew accepted the truth. They weren't sailing anywhere. They were now an accidental colony on a giant frozen prison. October 1915. The ice began to crush the ship like a soda can. The groaning, splintering timbers of the Endurance became the soundtrack of despair. Shackleton finally gave the order: abandon ship. The men salvaged what they could: tents, food, 3 lifeboats, and the ship's cat, Mrs. Chippy, who, sadly, wouldn't survive the ordeal. On November 21st, 1915, the Endurance finally sank beneath the ice. Shackleton wrote simply, "She's gone." Imagine it. 28 men stranded on drifting sea ice, with nothing but some salvaged supplies and 3 wooden boats. No radio, no rescue. Just Antarctica. For months they camped on the shifting ice, hunting seals and penguins to survive. Rations ran low. Morale sank even lower. Shackleton kept discipline through routine, daily duties, even sing-songs at night. Because if he let despair take over, the real killer would not be cold, but hopelessness. By April 1916, the ice beneath their feet began to break apart. The only option now: get in the lifeboats and pray. The 3 boats, named the James Caird, the Stancomb Wills, and the Dudley Docker, carried all 28 men across a nightmare sea. Freezing spray soaked them. Waves threatened to capsize them. Frostbite gnawed at their hands. After 7 days of rowing, half dead with exhaustion, they spotted land. Elephant Island. It was the first solid ground they had touched in nearly 500 days. But here's the catch. Elephant Island was a barren, windswept rock that no ship ever visited. Congratulations. You've survived. On to another prison. Shackleton realized salvation would not come to them. So he made the craziest decision of all. Take one lifeboat, a crew of 5, and attempt an 800-mile open ocean voyage to the nearest whaling station on South Georgia Island. In a glorified rowboat, across the roughest seas on Earth. On April 24th, 1916, Shackleton and his tiny team set out in the James Caird. What followed is often called the greatest small boat journey ever attempted. 2 weeks of storms, icy waves, and near death. They bailed water nonstop. Sails froze solid. Men collapsed from fatigue. But somehow, on May 10th, they staggered ashore at South Georgia. Of course, in true Shackleton luck, they landed on the wrong side of the island. The whaling station was still 30 miles away, across unexplored mountains and glaciers. So without rest, Shackleton and 2 others hiked non-stop for 36 hours over peaks no one had ever crossed. Finally, they stumbled into the whaling station at Stromness. The manager reportedly broke down crying when he saw them, because they looked less like men and more like ghosts. Shackleton's first question wasn't about himself. It was, "My men, are they safe?" They were. The 22 stranded men on Elephant Island had been surviving under makeshift shelters, eating seal meat, and keeping faith that the boss would return. Shackleton tried 3 times to rescue them. Ice, weather, and politics all thwarted him. Finally, on August 30th, 1916, more than 2 years after the Endurance had set sail, Shackleton returned aboard a Chilean ship. The men rushed to the shore, cheering. Shackleton called roll. Every man answered. Not a single life lost. In an age when polar exploration was usually a tale of tragedy, Shackleton's expedition stood out as something else. Survival against impossible odds. He didn't reach Antarctica's interior. He didn't achieve his original mission. But he did something greater. He brought every single one of his men home. Today, Shackleton is remembered less as the man who failed to cross Antarctica, and more as the leader who refused to let his crew die. A reminder that sometimes, endurance is not about reaching the goal, but about refusing to give up, no matter how hopeless it looks.